Today in the warehouse, we're talking about a topic that I actually find particularly interesting, and that's 2-ply tyres versus 3-ply tyres. And to do that, we actually have Steve from Toyo, and he is their training and technical manager. And Steve, you're going to tell us about where the benefits of 2-ply are versus the benefits of 3-ply, and there's some drawbacks in there as well. So maybe introduce the tyres that we've got sitting in front of us to start off with.
We'll look at the Toyo products here that we're referring to in our SUV range first. So firstly, with the Open Country AT3. So vast majority, or the majority of sizes being 2-ply construction. In the centre here with the Open Country RT 2-ply, which obviously means all sizes are 2-ply. Quite a new tyre in our range. And on the end here, looks almost identical to the RT product we just looked at, but this is the Open Country RT produced in the USA, all sizes being 3-ply. So probably before we go on, Jared, let's, for those who don't understand, and that's probably a lot of us, what are we talking about when we're talking about 2 and 3-ply? So what we're talking about is the actual carcass or the basic structure of the tyre.
The framework of the tyre through and through.
Good way to put it, Jared, okay? The basic structure of the tyre, the framework, yes. So, and with SUV tyres, they're all going to have either 2 or 3 plies, and nearly all of them using polyester material in those plies.
Now, Steve, I'm so hardcore. I'm forward driving. I need the most strong tyre that I can get. Is that true?
Well, the short answer is no, but look, let's have a think about that now. And look, that whole scenario is what's generated this video today. And a lot of my presentations at the Forward Drive show, why we present this material is to get to people to think about what they actually need rather than what they want. Okay, so a lot of people, once they start doing off-road, they think they need the most heavy-duty tyre they can get their hands on. And obviously, they want something that looks really aggressive like an RT or even a full mud style tyre.
That's right. You see so many tradies rolling with mud terrain tyres on their vehicles because they look hardcore, and it's got to suit the look.
And the look is important, but if they want the best performance and the most cost-effective option for themselves, the first thing they should do is think about what they need, and that really relates to the type of off-roading they are doing. Okay.
So let me run you through some scenarios maybe. So I am new to forward driving and I'm excited to get out there on some gravel roads, maybe dominate some tracks, and, some really light tracks. I'll be forward driving by myself, but I do tend to drive the car to work 90% of the time. Which direction should I go?
Look, short answer is the 3-ply tyre is really a lot more than you need, and the 2-ply tyre is going to be more than adequate for your needs. So, but let's go and talk about why that's the case, rather than just say yes or no. That scenario, most people who talk at Forward Drive shows are occasional off-roaders who do a lot of their driving off-road, and they're not what we call hardcore serious off-roaders. So most of the time, the conversation goes from the RT and the mud tyre over to these 2 tyres, okay? Because these drew them to the stand, but these are one of these 2 is really what they need and the best option for them. Okay?
So let's take it from the other end. I am somebody who goes out, I've got a dedicated four-wheel drive. I take it out only when I'm actually, going on serious tracks. I'm going to be the next, 4x4 24/7 guys. Which tyre is the better one for me?
Oh, look, that's the easy answer is the 3-ply tyre in a quite aggressive tread pattern like your RT or your Open Country MT. Yes, absolutely. That's 2 really simple, or easily different scenarios where a 2-ply all-terrain and a 3-ply tyre. So they're more aggressive.
So what about the guys in the middle? So you get something I like to refer to fairly regularly on Tyre Review, the show here, is like the grey nomads that are working their way around the country. Quite often they like to think about getting a 3-ply because of stake resistance and that sort of thing. Is that a thing? Yeah,
it is. When we think about what they're actually doing, and that's a very big market for us too. I get a lot of calls from people doing outback travellers, outback tourists we call them, okay? So they're doing mainly, not a lot of off-road, but a lot of dirt roads that are in poor condition. Look, the reality is, for most of them, they don't really need a 3-ply tyre, okay? Most of them, with good pressure management, a 2-ply tyre will be more than adequate and a lot cheaper option and a much nicer option for most of their driving as far as, ride comfort, and cost as well.
So that's probably a really good segue. Like, what are the benefits to me as a four-wheel driver of going for a 2-ply sidewall tyre?
Okay, this is where we get into, I think, the meat of the subject,
Yep.
if you like. Okay, so the big differences relate to two things. The weight of the tyre, so it's really simple to understand. A 2-ply tyre having less material is going to be lighter than a 3-ply tyre.
Yep.
And the fact that it has a more flexible sidewall. Okay, so these give us both advantages and disadvantages. So the first one, advantages,
is weight.
Okay, weight. Okay.
Weight's huge.
So weight's a really big differentiator between the two. The lighter tyre needs less energy to move and stop.
That's right. So my car is going to be spending less time pushing that tyre, or 4 tyres around.
Less fuel.
Less fuel,
Okay.
less fuel, less power.
Lighter weight, so less unsprung weight. Suspension's going to soak up bumps better, and it's going to have more flexibility. Off-road, the big advantage of 2-ply tyre. So if a lot of these users, we do a little bit of off-road, not too adventurous, and a bit of sand, okay, especially on the sand, the 2-ply tyre is the winner, because with the same amount of pressure drop, we get a much bigger footprint. And on sand, most people understand flotation or more footprint is the key, and that really helps us minimise bogey, and it helps us get through the sand with less energy.
That's right. So, I mean, you'll see from our driving on sand video that the more tread face you have, the less likely you are to dig down into the sand. So just dipping into pressure a little bit. You said with the same pressure drop, you can get the more bag out on the 2-ply sidewall tyres. But I know in the comments in the past we've had people saying, just drop your pressure a little bit more on the 3-ply sidewall tyre. Is that a good thing? Can you do that? What are the drawbacks? Briefly, because it's a very long subject.
It is.
Yes.
Look, the short answer is yes, as long as, and this is the tricky bit, as long as you know your pressures versus load, and this is where a lot of people struggle. So what we're trying not to do is overheat the tyre. So if we drop too much pressure, sometimes we can overheat the tyre. So the shorter answer is yes.
Because the 3-ply tyre is thicker, sidewalls are actually thicker, it's going to heat up faster, isn't it?
Not so much faster, but it holds the heat. Your point is spot on. It holds the heat, doesn't dissipate heat as well because it's thicker and it holds the heat. With a 3-ply tyre, your pressures versus load are a lot more critical, so it's easier to overheat a 3-ply tyre compared to a 2-ply because it doesn't dissipate heat as well.
Let's jump back and go back to the positives of the 3-ply sidewall tyre. Okay. What are the positives of that?
Look, they all mainly relate to, the fact that it has less deflection, and this is a big one off-road.
So it's not going to, if I drive over a bump, then it's not going to change as much.
That's right. So we're not going to get as much sidewall flex, okay?
Yep.
That means off-road two things. We don't have as much sidewall exposed, okay? On the top of the tread here, we have 2 layers of steel, 2 layers, with these tyres, 2 layers of nylon, then we have the nylon, steel, then the carcass. So we've got a lot of layers to get through the puncture.
On top.
On top. Once we get to the sidewall here, we've only got that carcass, okay? So once it's bagging and it's exposed,
that's right. So
it's a lot easier to damage.
That's right. So the pressure's dropped. You can even actually squish it out like that. You can see that we've got a whole bunch more of the actual upper sidewall available for puncturing.
That's right. So, and that is the most susceptible part of the tyre to damage when we're off-road, down, okay? So with a 3-ply tyre, we have less exposed. So it, the main reason why, people think because they're tougher, it's a little bit, but that's only once we start having something try to cut the sidewall. The main thing is we have less exposed. So it's harder, or there's less chance of having sidewall damage, okay? That's the main one. The other big one that a lot of people don't think about is because we have less sidewall deflection, we actually have some more ride-on. Okay? So what a full driver is always doing mods to do is not so much for ground clearance is probably the word rather than ride height.
Yes.
So the big thing, we put bigger tyres, we put lifts, we put all these things to give us ground clearance so we're going over the obstacles. Straight away with a 3-ply tyre, we have a significant difference in that height for the fact we have less sidewall deflection. So that's the advantages really relate to your off-road performance. So your ground clearance and less chance of sidewall damage.
So what are some of the other disadvantages of the 2-ply tyre versus the 3-ply?
Oh look, pretty much the opposite of the advantages of the 3-ply. So more sidewall deflection means it's easier to puncture the sidewall of the 2-ply tyre when we're air down off-road. That's probably the main one. And because we have more sidewall deflection, we have a little less ground clearance
Yeah.
compared to the 3-ply tyres, same pressure, same load.
So relatively minimal, but the disadvantages of the 3-ply we've touched on already is that they retain heat more.
Yes.
I'm guessing that ride comfort is probably another disadvantage.
Definitely a big one, yeah, because we have less sidewall deflection. We have more ride harshness.
Yeah.
To me, the biggie is fuel consumption. Okay.
Fuel consumption.
Big difference. Okay.
Yeah.
Heavier tyre, and we're looking at significant sort of numbers once we go to 2 and 3-ply, as in
Yes.
a difference in weight. When you go to a 3-ply tyre, you're nearly always going to a more aggressive tread pattern as well.
Yes.
Okay, so you're going heavier tyre, more aggressive tread pattern.
Combine the two.
Yes, combine the two, you would expect in the same size to use at least 1 litre per 100 k's more, at least.
At least.
Being very conservative, okay?
Yeah.
Let's assume we do our set of tyres does 60,000 k's.
Yep.
That's not a very high mileage. It's not particularly low. It's sort of in the middle. I paid $2.26 for diesel yesterday. So we're looking at how much more we're paying for fuel over the life of the tyres, assuming 60,000 k's
Yep.
and current diesel price.
So potentially $1,300 worth more.
Bang, $13.56.
So $1,356 worth more of fuel to go for the privilege of having a 3-ply sidewall tyre.
Spot on. Okay,
Yeah.
and to me, that is the key. Now, we're being a little conservative with that 1 litre, okay?
Yep.
It works out a significant number of extra
Yep.
fuel use. Now, to me, if you're using the features of a 3-ply tyre and you need them, okay, that's certainly justified. If you're not, you're paying for something, to me, you're paying for something you're not using,
Yep.
and why?
So it comes back down to that scenario of, what are you actually using these tyres for? We actually have a number of Americans on our channel. Hello, guys. They love talking about rock crawling. So
Yes.
if we're going out there crawling some rocks, 2 or 3-ply.
In reality, a 2-ply tyre would be better, a much bigger footprint, okay, and tyre
So
flexibility.
They want conformity to go
Yes.
over the rocks.
Yeah, so the tyre envelopes, for lack
Yes.
of a word, around the rocks, so
Yes.
we're getting the biggest footprint we
Lots
can
of
on that
traction.
rock. So
That's our assumption anyway.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yes.
if you're a rock crawler, please feel free to comment below on what your experiences have been. Because
But one must think about also that we're trying not to damage those sidewalls as well too. So, but again, once we start running really low pressures at very, very low speeds, we're probably splitting hairs when
Yes.
we're talking about 2 or 3-ply, okay?
Yep.
Probably add one more little topic that off-roaders
But wait,
tend
there's
not to
more.
think about, okay?
Yep.
And that is braking performance, and this is really a thing on road, okay? And again, this relates to the weight of the tyre. So 3-ply tyre being heavier,
so that impacts on safety.
that's the special word. Keep in mind here, when off-roaders are making changes to tyres, they tend to be focused on off-road performance.
Yep.
Okay, so ground clearance, bigger footprint. So they're not generally thinking about those things. So it's important but to consider it, okay, especially if your vehicle uses an everyday drive, that these are the disadvantages of the change you're making.
I think we'll leave it there, folks. We could probably actually speak about this for a long time. If you've stuck with us this long, thank you very much. Thanks to Steve for educating us on 2-ply versus 3-ply, and we'll see you in another video soon.
Thank you, Jared.
Cheers.